We're back with day 10, and finally it's time for some serious waterproofing. As you can see behind me here, there's some blue on the wall. Let's have a look at what's actually going on here. So we're going to start, as we do, over with our vanity here. We can see our blue has gone on behind here, and we've got some gray on the wall. We're going to have a look around first, and then we're going to talk about why there's those different colors. But before we do, you can see the extent of waterproofing is the same as where we primed yesterday. That's great. Let's have a look at our detailing here. You can see we've got our tap penetration there. That's sealed nicely. Our mixer tap here, you can see that there is tape on here. For anyone that doesn't know what's going on here, this is so that you can easily do your waterproofing. Normally what you'd see is the waterproofer will overlap out onto the tape, and then you can sort of tear that tape off and it gives a nice sort of a finish there. It's also just to protect it generally, so that's looking good. Bit of a waterproofing turnout here. A little bit of a gap in the detailing just there, but I have no doubt they'll pick that up tomorrow in the second coat. Okay, now this is something that's been here for a little while, and it is an electrical penetration through a waterproofing zone. So this is definitely not something you would normally want to see. I do have a little bit of a plan for something we can do here to try and seal that up, but normally the logic is electricity doesn't like water, so you don't want to see any penetrations through a waterproofing zone, because that's potentially where you're going to have water coming. Now, I do think it is a bit of a lower risk that water is going to come from our vanity, somehow make its way around and then down into that there. But nonetheless, we got to treat it right. So we'll come back to that one with the strategy on that. Continue making our way around the room here, and you can see we have our shelf wall here. It's really good. You can see the blue and the gray again. We'll come back to that one. Already had a look at our detailing here. Looks really good. Nice solid connection around those two penetrations. Again, we have another electrical penetration there for the towel rack. In fairness, this zone here doesn't actually need to be waterproof. We're not expecting any water there, but it was just easier for the waterproofer to just run that straight through. So that's great. Now we get into our shower area here. So we're going to have a look at the shower walls. First, have a look at some detailing. First of all, around here, that's looking like a pretty solid connection there. And let's have a look at our niche. So you can see that the recesses that we made between those sheets there have been filled in nicely with a sealant. You can see we've got corner fillets there, quite small but appropriately sized for a class 3 membrane. And yeah, pretty much good detailing all the way around there. So that's looking really good. What have we got up here? So detailing is a little bit light on that penetration there. You can see the gray, which is the primer, but the blue not really connecting on there. So they'll definitely have to pick that one up with the next coat there. Now, then as we make our way around here, we didn't talk about this before, but we do have our shower screen. This is where our fixed glass panel is going to go. And it's actually not very far at all away from the entry door here. So having a look at that, we want to make sure that no water can easily get past our glass splash panel, and that might happen if it goes through the tile grout lines, through the glue and whatnot. So we had a chat this morning about it, and it looks like our waterproof has installed a nice little water stop angle here, running all the way down, and that's going to stop any subtile migration of water on that vertical there that might go and want to get into our power points, light switches, or that might just get a little bit too close to our door frame here that we want to protect. So that's pretty much everything for our wall area. Now let's go and have a look at some floors. So here, this is our drain point there. Very nicely detailed, turned very far down into that flange, pretty much covering the whole flange. That's definitely more than needed to be done, so can't go wrong there. The flange actually runs across here, so normally turning down to about here is enough, but definitely nothing wrong with going a little bit further than that. Looks like a real clean, tidy job. While we're on our floor areas here, you can also see that we've got a really nice bead of caulking there. I can still feel it's a little bit soft because it was installed not long ago, so that's looking really healthy in those corner junctions. I'll see if I can get another perspective here. There we go. So if you remember, we actually had an intentional gap between our villa board on the walls here and the bottom with the intention to fill that up with the sealant. So not only is that gap filled up, but then we also have a nice cove triangle in that junction as well there. So that's looking quite good. Now on that note, we have our water stop angle around our shower perimeter here. Now, one thing I'll point out, and I can do that by touching this, see that's flexible? So they actually use a plastic angle here, which is completely legitimate. But there's a specific reason we have done that. And I think I'll come back to that a little bit in the future. But for now, we know it's there. And then if we continue over this way, we have our underfloor heating conduits here. So no actual cables or anything yet. That's just temporary pull lines sitting there, but you can see they're nicely detailed. I don't think there's any water getting around those penetrations. So that's really good. Then if we continue our way around here, we do have our water stop angle at the entry doorway here. So I can't really get down any lower than that, but I can tell you that I'm looking at it. We've got a nice waterproofing upturn there, nice and continuous all the way across. You can see our waterproofing is almost all the way to the top here, about 5 mil there. I'm definitely happy with that. And then on this side, and this is the one that really matters because it's so often wrong, is that we've got our water stop angle continuing back across here. So even in the bathroom that was here previously, that was just completely missing and was just left open. But now we have that nice continuous upturn there across our wall cavity. Then we're well and truly outside the shower now. We continue our way around here. Still a very healthy corner fillet in there. That's excellent corner detailing, about 150 mil upturn there. So definitely not short of where it needs to be. That's looking really good. Let's have a look at our drain flange in the middle here. Again, very well detailed, turn all the way down inside there. I can tell even with this first coat, just visually, that's very, very thick for our polyurethane membrane. And then I'll also point out, it's a little bit hard to see, but I can see there's a line here and another line there where our joints between our floor sheeting here has been reinforced with a flexible sealant, making a little bit of a bump there to accommodate a bit of movement and flex before this membrane has been installed over. So that's looking really good as well. So we'll take a step back here. You can see we've got our drain point outside the shower, drain point inside the shower. We've got our bath there. We've got our toilet over here. So all quite well done. Now we'll just take a moment to talk about what our waterproofing products are. Now there's a lot of different ways of choosing to do this. Everyone has their own preference based on personal experience. The reason there is a color difference is that what we have on the floor here is a solvent-based polyurethane membrane. I can smell that now. I think it smells kind of nice, but I'd understand if you didn't want to breathe it in all day. So that's our gray color, is our polyurethane. It has a very slick, rubbery texture, but it's also really nice to work with, get nice, thick, solid coverage in a coat. So that's why a lot of people have a lot of confidence in that as a product. Now, the unfortunate thing is that as much as it's a good waterproofing product, it does have that slick, rubbery surface. So when we want to do our wall areas and we need to be direct bonding a tile to it, that's going to be a problem. So that's why, like it or not, we cannot use this polyurethane gray membrane on the floor here. We need to use a water-based type product, water-based acrylic, water-based polyurethane, a few different names for it, but that's what our product is on the wall here. When I go a bit closer here, you can see we've got this bit of a texture there. So that is the main reason, if you weren't familiar, why we are seeing these two different colors. On the floor area, it doesn't matter. Still do need to get a bond with our screed here, so we'll have to check in about that. But on the walls, your tiles are gonna have that constant force of gravity acting on them. They're gonna wanna fall off, so you really need to make sure you can get that, that bond to it. So I think we're looking really good here for our first day of waterproofing. I was ready to come in and pick some points but honestly, it's looking really good. Maybe just a bit of a healthier connection onto some of these penetrations here, because they're taped up so nicely. So I'm sure the waterproof will do that tomorrow, then take the tape off. We'll look forward to seeing how that turns out. And yeah, I'd say generally really happy with how this is looking, and looking forward to seeing how they continue with things tomorrow.